Alright, so we're on to Kalos. Kalos will be fighting on normal. He is, to my knowledge, the strongest boss I am able to take on at this moment and actually feasibly win against. So it's going to be a long fight, over 20 minutes. So I'll be overriding my advanced weapon tempering buff here because I will need that extra duration. Much as it sucks to kind of lose some whetstones, even though there's already still smidge over half the duration there. Like it's necessary. I might even lose. Uh, you're not gonna see this, of course, if I lose, but maybe I'll mention it if I have to do another video. Say, hey, I lost this many times before I got the right recording done. So Kalos, he's kind of simple actually. He's just overwhelming. Is how his thing works. So, like most bosses in this day and age, he has a gauge, but it's really just a timer. So I think it's a minute, smidge over a minute, he's going to activate one of these four constructs around the arena. Um, they are the Eye of Penitence, the Eye of Abyss, the Beam Strafe, and the Odium Sphere. And I read them more or less in the order that they are dangerous. Penitence is extremely dangerous. If you fought Guardian Angel Slime, it is the same sort of attack as the periodic door lasers. It'll stun you, it'll deal continuous damage, it is very dangerous. You need to shut it down fast. Abyss will shoot these purplish projectiles that deal a nice chunk of damage, and they also afflict darkness on you, the kind of blindness that actually affects you as a human you can't see, not the kind of blindness where your attacks just miss. So that, while it doesn't immobilize you, it does make it a lot easier for you to get hit because you don't see the attacks coming. Of course, you can always use Hero's Will and Will of Urda to get rid of that debuff early. The Beam Strafe maneuver moves around up top and periodically fires a laser down that is much chunkier than the Penitence laser, but it doesn't include a stun. It just hurts. Hurts pretty badly. Don't stay in it. Just be thankful it doesn't stun you. And lastly, the Odium Sphere bounces around in a zigzag pattern around the map and deals a little bit of chip damage. I think it's like 30%. Probably increases with difficulty. Not too big of a deal. Just be mindful of it. So the thing with these constructs is that if all four of them are active at any given time, and then a minute passes, you lose. So basically, if he tries to activate a hypothetical fifth construct, that fifth construct is just game over. So you need to be shutting these down. How do you shut them down? You get an NPC chat key skill again, and this will give you the ability to launch an attack that it is a lot like the what was that thing called? The weekly quest you can do in Asphera. It's sort of like one of those aim power shot things where you need to fire this attack at the constructs while they're active to deal damage to them. The Eye of Penitence and Eye of Abyss have health equal to 3 times the amount of players in the fight, and Beam Strafe and Odium Sphere have health equal to 2 times the amount of players in the fight. So since this is a solo, 3 shots to destroy both the eyes, 2 shots to destroy the sphere and Beam Strafe. And then back to the way to destroy them. At least with this, you don't have to gauge power. It is purely an angle thing, so it goes from completely above you to completely below you and just keeps bouncing back. You just need to press the chat key again when it's at the spot you want it at to fire. The Eye of Abyss and the Eye of Penitence are simple. You hit them and that damages them. The Odium Sphere and the Beam Strafe are not quite as simple. There are these little things lined up along the bottom and the top, and you need to hit those things when that construct is passing over or bouncing off of that area to damage it. So on the top, there are things that somewhat look like the Beam Strafe that are just sitting there. You want to hit them, and that sort of makes it malfunction for 1, maybe 2 seconds. If the Beam Strafe passes through it in that time period, it gets damaged. For the Odium Sphere, you hit the little things on these little like capture devices on the bottom, and it creates a sphere that again lasts like 1 to 2 seconds ish, and that damages the sphere if it passes through that. So that is a big priority during this fight, is you need to shut off those devices so they don't overwhelm you. You lose if they're all active for too long, but you also lose if you die out, right? And having too many of these devices active at the same time can add a lot of attacks to the fight. So it just gets quite dangerous if there's too many of them active at a time, particularly Penitence. Shut that asshole down immediately. Moving on to Kalos himself, it's a two-phase fight. During the first phase, it's not quite as dangerous. He misses out on 2 insta-kill attacks that will come into play on phase 2. So you just want to fight him a lot like you would fight Guardian Angel Slime. You stay higher up than he is to avoid a lot of the attacks. His most dangerous attack is the eye lasers that he does. I believe you can technically dodge it by standing right underneath his eyes, like there's a tiny gap. Definitely in part 2, possibly in part 1. This attack should hit for 70%, so if he combos the eye lasers with pretty much any of his other attacks, that is a kill. So just try to make sure you're healed up if you're anywhere on the same platform as him. Aside from that, these periodic bombs will go off around the map. They're not too threatening, they just chip you. But that's kind of the thing with Kalos, is there's a lot of chip, and that chip really adds up when you keep getting chipped and chipped and chipped. So you need to sort of manage the chip damage you're taking so that you don't get killed when you accidentally take an eye laser. Because it's going to happen every now and then, right? We're not perfect. Moving on to phase 2, the eye laser attack gets upgraded to deal, should be 85%, and it also leaves flames on the ground that hurt and either stun or knockback. I can't remember which one. If it's stun, it's a very short stun. So you need to be more careful there, because pretty much any chip plus that eye laser attack is going to KO you. The other things you need to pay attention to are the 2 one-hit attacks he gains. One of them is a teleport that he's going to use often. Now he has a regular teleport to go along with this insta-kill teleport. If he just sort of poofs into a bunch of lights, like orange lights, I think that's his sign for the regular teleport, that's fine, it does nothing. His insta-kill teleport, he instead kind of goes upward into this portal, and then he falls down onto a player like 2 seconds later. This is a 100% damage skill, so you can actually survive it if you're full health and you have the Ren Link skill on, or anything that is able to decrease percent damage skills. So that's a boon for any Ren Link skill users there. The other one he has, he will start taking a deep breath and then blast a laser for 1 to 2 seconds in a direction. This one continually does damage, so you're not going to be saved by this. By the Ren Link skill or anything like that. You just need to dodge it. It also hits slightly above and below the platform he's on, so just being one platform above and standing there is not good enough. You want to jump, or preferably just be behind him for safety. The last thing to cover is that he has an attack he can use. I believe the cooldown on it is 2.5 minutes. It'll pop up some text in the middle of the screen, and then he'll launch an attack all around him that is a one-hit. So when you see those words pop up, just take a second and then just get away from him. Let him do that attack, hit all around him, it's whatever. The other important thing with there is he cheats to activate a construct. He just gets a free construct activation when he does that. It does not reset the timer for the current activation, anything like that. Just turns one that's off to on. I believe if you currently have 4 and he uses that attack, it does not end the game. You still have to wait for the timer, I believe. I have not run into that situation myself, so I'm not sure. So just know that he's going to cheat that out on you every now and then. And also, I guess the last thing I want to mention is the cooldown for the skill to damage the construct should be about 15 seconds. So you have more uses in the amount of time, or rather, you can deal more damage than any individual construct has in the amount of time it takes him to activate one. So if you can, you want to try to make sure you are just disabling them as they come, and preferably have no more than 2 active at once, because occasionally, right, with that cheat attack, as I said, he is going to gain a second one on you. There's not too much you can do there. When you gain 3 active at a time is when you want to start trying to lock in, and you need to get those disabled. And as I also mentioned with Penitence really sucking, anytime Penitence is active, lock in, get that thing out of there. It's not good for your health. Alright, let us go in. And I do have the Champion Challenge available here. Don't think I can beat it though, because I'm pretty sure I still need over 20 minutes to beat him. So I'm close, need a little more damage, but the survivability from Champion mode would certainly help. I just don't think it'll reduce my clear time below 20 minutes. Alright, don't need to reuse VIP, just advanced weapon tempering, unfortunately. And you can always use more buffs than I am. I just don't feel like adding in like the Collector's Potion for 20 million, or bothering with the Versus buff, or faming people who have their chair out. But here in Phase 1, his model is not that tall, so I would say you only kind of barely hit him when you're above a platform. In Phase 2, he becomes a lot taller, so it's much easier to hit him from even 2 platforms higher. Right, so the timer is at 10 seconds. There's going to be tower activated soon. You can see on the mini-map which one it is. So that one is the Odium Sphere. So I'll hit it on the next bounce around. And once the gauge on the left is full, it's glowing blue like that, that means your shot's ready again. When trying to get the ones that are sort of at a harder angle, particularly the Odium Sphere and the Beam Strafe, just be careful that you don't act like a sitting duck for too long. It is important to turn those off, but it is important to also not just get fucking killed while you're sitting there. Particularly in Phase 2, he will maul you with that insta-kill teleport. Looks like Beam Strafe activated. Beam Strafe is definitely the hardest one overall to hit. And that purple laser there means it's about to fire, so it gives you a little bit of a warning where it's going to hit. And I guess I should mention it now before we get there. A lot like with Kaling, once we make it to Phase 2, his health is going to be sectioned off, where you need to sort of do something to go further than 25% of his health. And as that happened, his Annihilation Mode attack happened, which gave him the cheat activation here. So it looks like I got Beam Strafe and Penitence active. So Penitence here takes precedence. We ignore Beam Strafe for now, take down Penitence. And these attacks get a little more vicious the lower his health is, and the higher the difficulty of the fight is too. Penitence can shoot more lasers, depending on what stage of the fight you're at. Hopefully that hit. Sometimes you just kind of send up a Kobe shot to get Beam Strafe. Nice. We got him with both hits. You can see on the minimap it turned blue, so it's off. And we got Penitence once again, so sure we get that. And interestingly, in this fight, Phase 1 actually has about a third of the total health of the fight. Although he does have a little bit less percent defense compared to Phase 2. So you're actually making good progress by the time you've defeated Phase 1. But don't let that encourage you, because Phase 2 can get quite scary as it goes along. And if we time this well, we should have an Origin Burst ready to go. Oh crap, that doesn't hit this floor below. I didn't know he was in this. So I don't normally do a half burst, as they call it, but if it's helps me get through here a little bit better to time my Origin Burst in the next phase, then why not? It is smart to half burst. I just don't like doing it. Personal preference, right? So there, I took a hit. That's what it looks like when you're stunned. Thankfully, I wasn't stunned on the platform directly, because then Penitence would be able to just really sap my health and probably get a kill. And these structures do not carry over to the next phase, so feel free to let them build up like right at the end if you can get the kill quickly. Which is what I think I'll do. I'm gonna try another half burst, so I'm only a minute away from doing a full burst when I get into part 2. There we go. So everything resets, and we kind of run it back, just with a few more attacks added. That's the insta-kill teleport. And that's the insta-kill breath. So you need to watch out for those. The insta-kill teleport he will do often. The breath, not quite as much. Because of the length of this map, if you're playing in a party, you really want to make sure your buddies know what like floor he's on. Otherwise, they're gonna get hit by it. You can totally get hit with the breath laser from just across the map. Let's do an Origin. And when there's nothing really going on, you don't need to iframe your Origin. But when there's a lot of towers active, you may want to just be safe and throw your Genesis Origin on. Let's see what he's going to activate here. Looks like Abyss again. Be able to do a regular burst, and then I'll send him to the segment test. I'll explain as it happens. It's not terribly confusing. It can get a little difficult if there's too many towers active. This, he's gonna get a free one. So beam strafe, not too important. Doesn't do anything serious to you, although it could block out an area you need to stand on. So that would be a reason to use an iframe. Okay, so here, you need to be in these safe zones when his attack goes off. You can get out after it starts. It's not a continuous damage thing, it's just a one-shot explosion. And there's 5 different safe zones. You just need to make it to one. And he's gonna be sitting here for like 12-ish seconds. You can wail on him, or use the time to get ahead of some of your constructs. Wasn't really paying attention to the laser there, I almost got burned by that. It's like this time he's favoring Eye of the Abyss. I had one where he just would not stop keeping, what's it called, penitence on. It was incredibly frustrating. Still turned out fine, it's just very scary when you got those stunny lasers all around. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but also every segment you go, a little bit breaks off of him to make the fight harder. So this first segment just makes it so that there's more bombs going off. Second segment will also add more bombs, but these ones will apply weakness to you, so you can't jump for a little bit. And the last one does something akin to Damien, where you get marks on you. You get someone gets killed on the 3rd mark, I believe, if you're partying. So it's actually punishing your team, not just you. That one's not going to do anything. And the part of him that gets knocked off will appear here in the very center of the map. You just NPC chat key there to get rid of the debuff. Nice. Whenever you can get a no-look hit on beam strafe, it's always nice. And if you're close enough to Penitence or Abyss, you can just do that where you don't even try to aim, you just walk up to it here and fire, and it'll hit it. It's convenient. He's gonna cheat. A little too angled there. Looks like Abyss once again is the other one that's active. So you may be thinking so far so good, but at the third and fourth segment is really when things can get to feel hectic. So you really want to build yourself this kind of a lead with not having lost lives up to here. It's like I wasn't so lucky on those Kobe shots. And he is invulnerable for a couple seconds there while his part is detaching. So just don't try to burst immediately. Looks like Penitence is finally active in part 2 here. Been kind of lucky not getting that. These guys aren't too dangerous, they just come up to you and explode. They start after the second portion of his health has been reached. Or the third, I suppose. Ooh, took too many arrows there. Penitence down. Let's see if we can get back ahead of things soon. Podium Sphere active. Yeah, he really decided Abyss is his homie today. Ah, I was almost about to pop an iframe. So that's oftentimes what you want to do. If he's on the same platform as you and you can't see him, you might just want to play it safe in iframe. entering third test. And if you fail, he's going to heal 5% of his health. I do believe you're also allowed to iframe this. It's if you can't get into a safe spot in time. I don't think I can beat him immediately here. I don't quite have the damage to just nuke this, especially because my origin is not ready. Apparently he doesn't care about being stunned while he is in his regular or his phase transition stun. I might be able to stop him with Ascent at this point. Let's check. No, not quite. But I can definitely chunk him. Okay, that's telling you I got one of those debuffs. Let's just get rid of it now. Ah! Ooh. Stunned too long. I think I got saved by the warrior link there, which, unlike a lot of people, I actually do like to use for these situations. Survivability is kind of hard to find, one of the few places to get it, so why not take it? That's bad. Too focused on penitence, let him get the drop on me. But I am almost there to the origin burst, so at this point, might as well just wait that timer out to get the cooldown going. He will still activate pillars while you're dead like this, so you need to be careful. I've kind of been going back and forth between calling them constructs and pillars. I just don't have I don't have a name for them down really. Just on me. This is where that resistance link skill comes in clutch too. Being unable to be hit by things after you revive. And that's definitely why you gotta do well early on, because you're gonna get hammered later on. Part of that was from, I'm gonna say, general incompetence on my part. The other part of it is sometimes you get a bad go of it, right? What's it called? Penitence just clips you, you get stunned. Or you get hit a lot, you manage to survive it, but he either teleports onto you or teleports nearby and decides he's ready to use his breath attack. Not much you can do there. You can reduce the duration with a normal status reduction, it's just, last I heard, it's logarithmic, so it is not very effective. I believe I have 80 right now. 60, okay. Don't know how that maths out, it's just that it is kind of a small reduction. You don't read that as 60%, it's probably much lesser than that. It's probably like 20% duration reduction. Still helpful though. Yeah, at least I was able to get the clear first time. Nothing worse than fighting a boss that takes a lot of time and then having to redo it all. Alright, so that's Kalos. Kind of simple, you just gotta lock in. Especially as you get up to the higher difficulties.